So, okay, can I take this over?
Duty,
can I take this over? So, Ryan mentioned this last week on the recaps of Raw and SmackDown.
Yes.
That the ratings were going down and that there's internal conversations happening at WWE that it's because the women have taken center stage. That's what they're trying to blame.
Who's leaking that?
Ryan has some sources, and people in other wrestling sites have sources inside the WWE that this is leaking out. I don't know if it's true, if this is really what's happening, but it's what they're saying. So the question is this borderline ignorant to feel this way? And for once, and I don't want people to get mad, for once you can say this is old white male thinking because Vince controls the situation. Not every time people bring up old white males, it's valid. But Stephanie doesn't have the sway, just like Ivanka doesn't over Donald.
You're not saying it's old white male thinking. You're saying it's old white man thinking.
Man thinking, yeah.
Singular.
Sorry, singular.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Roxy. Old white man thinking, that's Vince thinking that it's the women. Just like, and that he has a black champion. He's thinking that's also affecting ratings as well with Kofi Kingston.
You know what it is? The writing is terrible.
The writing's been terrible for 2 years.
So is there any truth to what he's saying? Zero.
There's no truth.
Okay. I will tell you the only time
it's the reason.
Yes, the only time that when I was I've been watching over the last couple of months, and the thing that kept me glued and not fast forwarding were the women.
Yeah,
and
you've said it every week on the
single
show,
time, and then it also even recently to where it's unwatchable right now. Right. It's so bad right now. It's awful, and the only thing I tuned in again was this when Becky Lynch showed up because this new Lacey Evans. Yeah. She's really good too.
It's good rivalry.
In this article, they said that it's kind of a lackluster feud. I don't agree with that. I do agree with who cares about the Charlotte Flair shit again. Get it?
I agree with that.
Enough.
We've seen that enough.
Yeah. But it's like they don't have. There's no structure to it. There's no structure to it. Anybody can fight for the title. There's no structure, and it is an absolute shitfest. The same thing happens over and again. These guys are going to be feuding at the big pay-per-view, but tonight they got to team up, and then they're going to play these guys. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to turn on each other. Or he's going to punch him accidentally, and then they're going to. It's the same shit you've seen forever. Nothing's new as far as like this is your ranked competitor. That is your ranked contender. That's your ranked contender. They're going to fight. Here's like a structure. There's no structure anymore.
So you think they just don't want to take responsibility for the fact that they suck in the areas that they suck in, and they want to blame it on something else like diversity?
Yes, because they don't know. And they also, the other thing, WrestleMania was 87 hours long. Yeah. It was so fucking long. It was exhausting to watch. And by the time you got to the women in that main event, people were done.
Now with AEW coming up, though, what do you think? Do you think that this will really help the chances of AEW's success? Because if WWE doubles down on this and decides that this was the problem, people will just convert.
You know, I've counted them out before. Certainly in the WCW, when they were coming on in the 90s, you thought WWE was done. Well, those characters, weird characters that were out of place now, they didn't get it. And they made an adjustment with that Attitude Era. It really saved that company. WCW is going to burn them out of business. But now you look at AEW. AEW doesn't have the clout that WCW did, the legacy with NWA and all that. But you've got a lot of money in this Khan guy behind them.
And you're going to start getting some of the WWE stars. Same thing WCW did.
And that's what's happening. Because stars that want to leave, it's only one woman that is rumored to want to leave the WWE right now. That's Sasha Banks. Yeah. But there's a lot of male wrestlers who've been kicking around leaving the WWE to go to AEW, and they're turning down contracts. The Revival turned down $500,000 per each of them for, I think, for 5-year contract, $500,000 each every year. They turned it down because they don't like the storylines that they're being involved in. And so a lot of male wrestlers are now starting to talk about leaving to go to AEW because they're not being used correctly by the creative, which is essentially Vince and writers, in the storylines. So that's not about the women taking center stage. It's about you're writing crap.
It's poor booking.
And I don't want to do it.
It's poor booking. And the other thing, though, to answer your question, what I think is that it also could help. And it's similar to what you just made in your point, John, is that I think that AEW will actually help the WWE if they take the signs. Because if the rumors are true for what AEW is going to do and focus more on making like the titles count and a ranking system and making it as much sport as it is entertainment, if they do that and it's successful and Vince sees that's really what the audience wants, don't be surprised. Very similar to what they did and took a lot of what WCW did and make that their own. And because they have enough assets and they have enough money that if they did it right, that they can really make it work. The thing is, they're the only game in town right now. So they can do whatever the fuck they want to do, even if the ratings are plummeting. They still do. I know best. I've been doing this for years, and he's earned that. He's allowed to say that, but you watch the product was really bad in like 92, 93. It was terrible, right? And
when Bret Hart was champion.
Yeah, I mean, he was like the one kind of saving grace, but there was a lot of crap going on up until like 95, 96 when they started kicking into the Attitude Era. Yep. We're there right now because it is unwatchable. It is so bad now. I was getting into it for a little bit. It's so bad. Like the women's stuff is the only stuff that works, but it's all over the place and nothing counts. So this is panic, and very stupid for them to do that to the women's division if that is the case. True? Yeah. I think it's true that they think it. That they think it, but I think it is incorrect data. And I think that there's not one mention that they'd have thought that the event was way too long, and the fans were exhausted by the end of it. If you would have had, and how many matches were there at WrestleMania? 20 something?
I think it was 15 matches.
If you would have had like 8 or 9 matches, 8. Let's say 8 matches, right? And the main event is Becky. Thank you. Is Becky?
Why did you hold your hand up like don't do it?
No, because I knew it was coming. It wasn't don't do it. It was more. I knew it was coming.
Open hand means I know you're coming.
I know you're about to do this. Yes, but I think that the energy in that place would have been amazing, and it would have helped the girls too. Because you know, as a performer in anything, whether it's wrestling, comedy, you feel that energy, and it dictates your performance. Yep. And you could tell it just.
People were exhausted by the time Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda came out. People were exhausted, and the flubbed finish didn't help things.
Right.